My name is Siobhan and I work with Conservation Volunteers New Zealand. I'm the Corporate Partnerships Manager. So at the moment we're partnering with Mondelēz New Zealand, and we partner with them on lots of different projects. So they fund a lot of our community work around Auckland. They get out and volunteer on a lot of our projects. But one of the main things that we do with Mondelēz is working on a large predator control program here in the Waitakere Ranges, which is aimed at protecting the habitat of the Hochstetter's frog. So the Hochstetter's frog is a very endangered species. Its only habitat, it's only got a few remaining habitat across the upper half of the North Island, and one of them is here in the Waitakere Ranges, and they are very vulnerable to predation. So we have 300 hectares of predator control going on here. It's just south of the Ark in the Park predator control area, and it's to try and control pests like rodents, possums and stoats, and it'll have a bit of a knock-on effect. So we're hoping to of course increase Hochstetter's frog numbers, but it'll also be able to protect all of the other species that call the Waitakere Ranges home.
My name is Jennifer Evans from Mondelez. The partnership is very important to us. It's part of our sort of overall sustainability journey. This is one of the things that we can do that really gets us out in our backyard and gets our hands dirty and gets us involved in the environment and in the community and making a real difference.
Up to maybe 200 years ago they were even in the South Island, but now they're only found in the top half of the North Island. They require pretty specific habitats, and stoats and rats have been identified as part of their problem. So with the aid of the bait stations and the traps that you guys have very kindly donated to us, and the labour, thanks very much, that looks like we can have a better future for the frogs in this vicinity. So they've been here for millions of years. They're considered a living fossil. They don't have a voice. They've got very limited webbing in their toes. The Hochstetter frog's the only one of our endemic frogs that does have a tadpole. The rest are little frogs with tails that hatch out of the eggs. They've got a long lifespan, at least about 30 years, which is quite long. They seem to communicate like salamanders do, by pheromones and chemicals rather than using voice. Right, this is one of the areas where Hochstetter frogs are, and there's quite a good population here. So with a bit of luck we'll be able to show you what you're supporting and what you're caring for. This is the type of habitat they really like. There's a lot of rainfall, often it's in the cloud. The vegetation is pretty much pristine. They love mosses, they like gravelly streams, but they don't like big rivers or streams because they're not very good swimmers. And it's also because there's been very little habitat disturbance. There's been just not enough to eradicate them from here, so they've managed to cling on, and over the last 70 to 80 years that the area's been protected, or 100 years, they've managed to stay here. It's really good because you've already got a population nucleus which, with predator protection, they'll be able to spread to other nearby areas that are suitable for them. So with a bit of luck, that's what will happen.
Like in this area here,
yeah.
would there be turtles?
They need to have still pockets of water, a bit like mosquito wrigglers do.
Yeah.
So if they've got a wet seepage area where there's enough, say, groundwater under the rocks, then they're happy there, as long as they can keep moist. Yeah, they don't like fast-flowing streams, they don't like big wide rivers, they don't like sunlight, they're nocturnal, they eat spiders and little bugs and things that crawl around.
Okay, so you're very high maintenance.
Yeah, and I've never gone out at night looking for them, but apparently if you put red cellophane over your torch, you've got a better chance of seeing more, because they can get into really small crevices. Now you have some background about what and why this project has been started, and we'll see if we can find any of the recipients of your kindness and your hard work, and have a look for some. The wet moss just close to the ground. But they're more likely to be under rocks, so I'm just having a little check.
Oh, what's that? No.
Violet
Big.
brown beetle.
No, sorry, I... Oh, yeah. Yeah, got it.
Yeah?
Okay, now move back. And a little bit closer. Yeah.
Everyone seen them?
So that's the emphasis of our work together. But we also do quite a bit of work for volunteer days. So our team at Mondelez goes out, we've done a number of tree planting, site cleanups, and earlier this year during COVID, when we couldn't get out and do any of those things, we did a backyard conservation program, handing out native trees and plants for people to plant in their backyards and teaching about the biodiversity.
So, yeah, how does this initiative help Mondelez with sort of climate action and all that all-encompassing piece of work? Yeah.
Good question. So we obviously, we want to make the right snacks and we want to do it the right way and we really want to look after the planet. So partnering with conservation volunteers and being able to help protect the habitat of one of the oldest living frogs native to New Zealand is really important to us, and to help prevent it from becoming extinct. So it's part of sort of our overall journey. We continue to innovate with packaging to reduce our climate footprint. We continue to innovate with renewable electricity to help power our factories. So there are a number of things that we're doing, and this is one layer of that.
Conservation Volunteers New Zealand is an environmental charity, and we manage teams of volunteers to do practical hands-on environmental work. So for example, we plant approximately 150,000 trees a year, but we also do lots of litter cleanups, invasive pest plant and pest animal control, a little bit of everything, whatever needs to be done really, and whatever we can involve the community in. So we're as much about people as we are about conservation. We hope to bring the two together, and our mission is to inspire change by connecting people with nature. So it's extremely important for us to have partnerships with commercial organisations. Obviously, we're a not-for-profit, we're a charity, and we just can't do work like this without funding from organisations who are, willing to give and really willing to make a difference. The funding allows us to do quite a lot of work, but also the fact that, for Mondelez example, they've got hundreds of staff who are now very much engaged in a lot of our projects across the country, mostly in Auckland. So that provides us with, hands on the ground or boots on the ground to get in, get those trees planted, weeds removed, seeds collected, whatever it is that needs to be done. But it's also a way for us to reach out to more people and educate them on the environment, and try to make a change in how people kind of connect to their local areas and how they kind of act in their lives. So for example, we get lots of people out on litter cleanups, and I think it's really good for people to kind of come out and see how bad the problem it is, and talk to them about how they can change that by not littering obviously, but also reducing their waste, recycling, and all those other things that we can do in day-to-day lives to make a bit of a difference.